What is going on, everyone? My name is the California Cougar and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be making a baseball video, and today I am going to predict where some of the top free agents will sign in the offseason. So I actually have MLB's top 25 free agents. I'm not going to go over every free agent, otherwise this video would be like an hour long, but I have their top 25 free agents here. Now, some of these guys have already signed, so we'll quickly run through those. But, yeah, 25 free agents to talk about. Let's get right into it. At number 25, we have Eduardo Rodriguez, who is coming off a season with Boston, and he is already signed. He signed a 5-year, $77 million deal with the Tigers. I think it's a solid deal for the Tigers. He'll be kind of like a number 2, maybe number 3. The Tigers don't really have that strong of a rotation. They've got Casey Mize and then like Matthew Boyd, who wasn't really all that good until this year. But yeah, I think Rodriguez makes a good addition to that rotation. All right, number 24, we have Raisel Iglesias. He declined the qualifying offer with the Angels, which I was a little bit surprised by. I thought the Angels might try and bring him back, but I've got him going to the Houston Astros. Houston loves their bullpen arms, so I just think it makes sense to me. I think he'll go there on like maybe a 3 or 4 year deal, something along those lines. That's where I've got Raisel Iglesias going. Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz is at number 23. He just came off a year with the Twins and Tampa. He's still going at age 41. Now, of course, this is going to be dependent on whether or not the DH is adopted into the National League. I think it will be, but even if it is, I think he's going to stay in the AL because I've got him going to Oakland to sign with the Oakland A's. I just think it makes sense. Oakland needs a DH. Madelson might get traded. Mark Canha's a free agent, so Oakland just makes sense for Nelson Cruz, I think. Number 22, we have Anthony Rizzo, who was with the Cubs and the Yankees last year. He was traded to the Yankees, and I think he re-signs with the Yankees. Like, he could go to the Cubs, maybe, but I think he re-signs with the Yankees, and the Yankees are going to throw money at him. They have money to waste, so, yeah, Yankees just make sense. I think he'll stay there. Up next, Chris Taylor is at number 21. He was with the Dodgers pretty much his whole career. He also declined the qualifying offer, which might come as a bit of a surprise to some people, but it kind of makes sense. As for where I've got him going, it's tough. A lot of players can use, or a lot of teams could use some utility players, like the White Sox, the Astros, maybe the Red Sox, or even the Tigers, maybe even the Giants. Like, who knows? Dodgers might try and get him back. Who knows? As for where I think he's going to go, I was not sold on this one for a while, but to me, I think it's going to be the Phillies. I feel like the Phillies makes the most sense. They'll be able to throw him in at shortstop if they need him to, or even at second base. Phillies just makes the most sense to me. So I've got Chris Taylor going to the Phillies. Number 20, we have Brandon Belt. Brandon Belt was first baseman for the Giants, and obviously we already know he accepted the qualifying offer, so he will be returning to the Giants. The captain will be coming back. Number 19, Michael Conforto. He declined the qualifying offer to stay with the Mets, and most likely I think he's going to be leaving this offseason. And for me, I feel like the Seattle Mariners just makes too much sense for me, because I think he's a Seattle native, and the Mariners I think are going to be making a lot of moves this offseason. So I've got him going to the Seattle Mariners. All right, number 18, Clayton Kershaw. He surprisingly did not receive a qualifying offer. I would have thought the Dodgers for sure would give him one. It basically means one of two things. Either the Dodgers don't think he's worth that much, which is surprising because, he's Clayton Kershaw, or they're so confident that he's going to return to the Dodgers that they feel like they don't need to give him a qualifying offer. As for where I think he's going to go, I don't think he's going back to the Dodgers. Sorry, Dodgers fans. It's tough to see Kershaw in any other uniform other than the Dodgers uniform, but I just don't really see it happening. I do have the Dodgers getting somebody else big, though, higher up on this list. So there you go, Dodgers fans. But as for Kershaw, I mean, he's from Texas originally. I think his family lives in Dallas. He's expressed a desire to move closer to his family. And so that's where I think he's going to go. I think he's going to go to Texas to play for the Texas Rangers. That's where I think he's going to go. I mean, I think that one makes the most sense. So yeah, it's going to be either the Rangers or the Dodgers, I think. I don't really see him going anywhere else, but I think it's going to be the Rangers. Up next, we have Justin Verlander. He also declined the qualifying offer, and I believe he actually already resigned a one-year deal with Houston. So he's going to be going back to Houston. I think it was like 1 year, $25 million or something like that. Pretty decent-sized deal to go back to Houston, so that's where he's going to be. At number 16, we have Noah Syndergaard, another guy who already signed with a new team. He had a qualifying offer. I think a lot of people thought he was going to take the qualifying offer to stay with the Mets, but the Angels offered him a better deal. 1 year, $21 million, and he ended up taking that. So he is going to be with the Angels. And I think it's a decent signing for the Angels. I mean, it's a high-risk, high-reward type of signing. If you can get the Syndergaard that you got in like 2015, 2016, then yeah, obviously that's going to be a fantastic deal. If not, then there's not really that much loss there, I don't think. I think it's a good sign for the Angels. Up next, Carlos Rodon. I cannot believe he did not get a qualifying offer. He had a huge year this year, but for some reason, the White Sox didn't feel like signing him or giving him a qualifying offer, so a bit surprising. I think he's an underrated free agent this year. He's probably not going to get paid as much as he should get paid, but yeah, I think that's going to open up the market a little bit, and I do think a team like the Mariners or a team like the Angels will be able to land him. In fact, I've got him going to the Angels. I think the Angels will add another arm to that rotation along with Syndergaard and Shohei. It'll help it bolster it up a little bit. The Angels need pitching, so it makes sense for him to go to the Angels. Which, speaking of the Angels, Andrew Heaney, they lost him. Well, he was traded to the Yankees, but then the Dodgers signed him, so yeah. Up next, Kyle Schwarber. So Kyle Schwarber was with the Nationals, and then he was traded to Boston to play for the Red Sox. He had a very good year overall, and I think he stays in Boston. I think Boston is a team that will need some bats, and I think Schwarber fits that perfectly, so I've got him staying with the Red Sox. He's going to be hitting some more homers over the Green Monster over there. Number 13, Nick Castellanos. Castellanos declined the qualifying offer after opting out of his original contract with the Reds, and he's going to be expecting a higher payday, and he's almost certainly going to get it. So, really, I think there's a few options, but there's two that stand out to me. There's the Giants. The Giants have said they have said that they want to push for Castellanos, but I don't think they're going to get Castellanos. I think they're actually going to get somebody else. I think they're going to get another big bat. But the other team that was rumored was the Marlins. He's a Florida native, and it makes sense. I've got Castellanos going to the Miami Marlins. All right, at number 12, we have Starling Marte. He is the outfielder for the Oakland A's. He also played for the Marlins earlier this year. Another underrated free agent, I think. He quietly had a really good season. Stole a bunch of bases. 47 bases stolen, I believe. And his slash line, 308, average 381 on base, 456 slugging. That's a really good year for a guy who's in his 30s. So, yeah, I think he'd be a great addition to any outfield. As for what I predict, I feel like the Cleveland Wokians, the Cleveland Guardians, that's their name now. They made it official. The Cleveland Guardians are a team that could use an outfielder, and it makes sense. I do think that's where he's going to go. He's going to end up going to the Cleveland Guardians. So that's where I think Starling Marte is going to go. Up next, Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman, he is obviously ineligible for a QO because he accepted one last year. And so his contract with the Mets have expired. I think the Mets are going to try and get him back, but I don't think it's going to happen. I do have the Mets getting somebody else this offseason, but I don't think Stroman is going to be one of them. Now, Stroman was a guy, like, I couldn't really figure out where he was going to go. I think the Padres make a lot of sense for Stroman. I think the White Sox would be a good fit for him. Maybe even the Yankees. Like, it was really tough to come up with a spot for Stroman. Maybe even the Giants could try and make a push for him. I don't know. But for me, this might come as a surprise to some people. It's not the Angels that he's going to go to. But I think that, I think it's going to be the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros are a team that are going to want to bolster that rotation behind Verlander and McCullers. They're probably going to lose Greinke, I would imagine. I actually think Greinke might sign with the Giants. He's somebody that I could see the Giants picking up. He'd be like a Tim Hudson type. But yeah, I've got Stroman going to the Astros. The Astros makes a lot of sense for them. They love their pitching, obviously. I've got them getting Raisel Iglesias as well. And, like, he would fit right in with that rotation, I think. So, yeah, the Houston Astros are going to sign Marcus Stroman. Up next, number 10, we have Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman accepted the QO with the Giants last year, and he had a really good year. Finished 6th in Cy Young voting this year. And he had the best year of his career by far, 2.81 ERA, 104 WHIP. Fell off a bit in the second half of the season, but still had some great starts there to end it off. And the Giants are obviously prioritizing rotation or starting pitching, and I think they're going to mainly focus on trying to get somebody like Kevin Gausman over there. I mean, I would have thought Max Scherzer maybe, they could go for him. Verlander, I mean, obviously Verlander already signed, so that's out of the question. But I think Scherzer is going to be a little bit out of the price range for the Giants, so I've got them getting Kevin Gausman back instead to be the second in command behind Logan Webb as our ace. So, yeah, I've got the Giants. They're going to pay the man. Kevin Gausman is coming back to San Francisco. All right, number 9, we've got Freddie Freeman. Obviously a big player, best first baseman in the league in my eyes. Freddie Freeman. I can't believe he's only number 9 on this list. I thought he would be way higher. But yeah, I mean, there's really only 2 teams I could ever picture signing him, and one of them's obvious. But yeah, I've got the Braves and I've got the Yankees who are going to be bidding for him. Earlier, I said that the Yankees were going to get Anthony Rizzo back, which will fill the first base spot. That leaves Freddie Freeman to the Braves, and, I mean, it's obvious. He's got to stay with the Braves. He has to. You just can't see him in any other uniform. He has to stay in Atlanta. He's going to be a lifetime Atlanta Brave. The Braves are going to re-sign him to a pretty big deal. I imagine 7 or 8 years, probably somewhere around the $200 million range or so. He's going to stay with Atlanta. He's going to continue to be an MVP candidate there for years to come. Freddie Freeman, back to Atlanta. Number 8, Javier Baez, shortstop for the Cubs, and then he was traded to the Mets. And the Mets are obviously going to be looking to keep him around, and I think they will succeed in doing that. I think the New York Mets will re-sign Javier Baez. He will stay in the infield with Francisco Lindor. And the Mets will have that middle infield for many years to come. So, congratulations, Mets fans. You'll get Javier Baez back. You'll get the guy that flashed thumbs down signs at you and nearly got booed by your fans out of the stadium. But he ended up playing really well for the Mets. So, it makes sense for the Mets to try and get him back. I think they will. He stays with the Mets. Up next, we've got Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray, who pitched for Toronto, the Cy Young winner this year. He finished ahead of Garrett Cole, and I think he obviously deserves the Cy Young. He had a huge season, 2.84 ERA, 104 WHIP, had a ton of strikeouts. His walk rate was way down as well. I know that was a big problem for him in the past, was he was walking a lot of guys, but he cleaned that up in Toronto. Now, originally I did have him going back to Toronto because I think it makes a lot of sense. But Toronto actually just re-signed Jose Barrios to a 7-year, like $131 million deal or something like that. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to sign Robbie Ray, of course, because they absolutely could still throw money at him. But with that being said, I don't see them getting Robbie Ray back now. In fact, I've got Robbie Ray going to the Los Angeles Angels as well. So he is going to be the fourth man in that Angels rotation, along with Shohei, Carlos Rodon, and Noah Syndergaard. Angels have a potential to have a really good rotation there. And I think Robbie Ray just makes a lot of sense. Now, I think the Angels are going to get Rodon for pretty cheap, and they'll be able to spend a lot of money on Robbie Ray. So, yeah, I think that's where he's going to go. He's going to go to the Los Angeles Angels. Number 6, Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien was obviously an MVP candidate for the last few years. I think it was 2019 he had that big year where he finished third in MVP voting. And then in 2020, bit of a down year, but the Jays took a chance on him this year, and it ultimately paid off. So yeah, like the Jays could try and get him back, but I don't think they're quite going to be able to do that. In fact, this is the guy I have the Giants picking up. This is the bat I have the Giants adding. It's not going to be Castellanos. It's not going to be Starling Marte. It's going to be Marcus Semien. The Giants are going to make a big move for Semien, I think. And it just makes a lot of sense. The Giants need a second baseman. Solano is going to be gone. Flores can kind of fill in as the utility man, I guess, but I don't really know. But Semien's going to be their main guy there, I think. They need a big bat. They need some guy that can put up MVP caliber numbers. He finished third in MVP voting this year as well. Marcus Semien is going to the San Francisco Giants, and I can't wait. Hopefully they actually get him, because I would love to see him there. All right, number 5, we have Trevor Story. Trevor Story, a guy who was with the Rockies. The Rockies are so incompetent that they refused to trade him, and it made absolutely no sense. Even Story himself was kind of mad at that, but whatever, I guess. Now, there's a few teams that could use a shortstop. Somebody like Philadelphia, the Astros, the Tigers. There's a few teams that could certainly use a shortstop. The Yankees are another one. But as for Trevor Story, I had a tough time picking, but ultimately I decided that Trevor Story is going to go to the Philadelphia Phillies. It was between the Phillies and the Astros for me, but I have him going to the Phillies. I think the Phillies are going to fill in that shortstop spot with him. They'll platoon him and Chris Taylor over there. Trevor Story in Philadelphia just makes a lot of sense. It's probably going to be like a 1-year, maybe a 2-year deal or something like that. Again, the Rockies are so goddamn incompetent they couldn't even re-sign him. But yeah, Trevor Story is going to be going to the Philadelphia Phillies. Number 4, we have Max Scherzer, who was with the Nationals for the last several years, and then he got traded to the Dodgers and was obviously very good for the Dodgers. This is where I have the Dodgers making their big splash of the offseason. They are going to pay Max Scherzer big, and he is going to stick around and probably retire as a Los Angeles Dodger. I've got the Los Angeles Dodgers re-signing Max Scherzer. It'll make up for them losing Clayton Kershaw. I mean, they can put Andrew Heaney in the rotation instead of Kershaw, but they'll still have that three-headed monster of Scherzer, Buehler, and Julio Urias, and I think that's going to be their big move this season, is they're going to get Max Scherzer back, and he's going to help them out big time. The Dodgers always tend to sign somebody big nowadays. If Trevor Bauer comes back, that's even more scary. So, yeah, I've got them getting Max Scherzer back on their rotation. Number 3, we've got Chris Bryant, third base / outfielder for the Cubs, and then was traded over to the Giants. Obviously, as a Giants fan, I would love to see him come back and represent the orange and black. I would love to see him back. I think he was a fantastic fit for the Giants. Kind of had a bit of a down stretch later on, but then came back in the postseason and actually hit pretty well. Unfortunately, though, with the Giants spending all their money on Marcus Semien and getting Kevin Gausman back, I just don't think Chris Bryant is going to... I just don't think they're going to have enough money to throw at Chris Bryant to try and get him back. And with that being said, I've got Chris Bryant going to the Seattle Mariners. It was between them and the Brewers. I almost had them going to the Brewers, especially with the Mariners getting Michael Conforto, but I have Chris Bryant going to the Seattle Mariners. It makes a lot of sense. The Seattle Mariners need a third baseman, and they could also use some guy that could fit in the outfield as well. The Mariners make their big splash. It's going to be Chris Bryant. All right, so number 2, we have Corey Seager. Corey Seager, shortstop for the Dodgers. He's one of the youngest guys on the market at age 27, along with Carlos Correa, who, spoiler alert, is number 1 on this list. But Corey Seager, now, again, teams that could use shortstops, like the Phillies, like the Tigers, like the Yankees, or even the Mets. Again, I think the Mets are going to get biased. I think the Phillies are going to get Trevor Story. I think the Yankees are going to outbid the Houston Astros here. A lot of people have him going to the Yankees, or a lot of people have Seager going to the Yankees, and I think it makes a lot of sense. The New York Yankees will sign Corey Seager. The Yankees, kind of like the Dodgers, they tend to make a big splash the offseason. The Dodgers are going to do it on Max Scherzer. The Yankees will do it with Corey Seager. So Corey Seager will be a New York Yankee next year. And also, I think Kyle Seager signs with the Yankees as well. And so we'll have the Seager brothers on the same team. Wouldn't that be something? And then finally, we have Carlos Correa, the number 1 free agent this offseason, only 27 years old, played with Houston his whole career, won a World Series with them, often regarded as the villain of Major League Baseball for how he behaved after the whole Astros cheating scandal. I don't think he's going to go back to Houston, though. The Houston Astros will try and pay him as much as they can, but I don't think he's going to go there. Instead, I've got the Detroit Tigers making a huge splash. They're going to make the biggest splash this offseason. They're a team that is looking to get good. They've got A.J. Hinch as their manager. Correa's worked with him, so I feel like that's a perfect match for them. They could use a shortstop. Carlos Correa is going to be their guy. Give me the Detroit Tigers signing Carlos Correa. The biggest signing of the offseason. Probably going to be upwards of $300 million over like 10 years or something like that. It's going to be a big deal. The Tigers are going to get their guy, and it's going to be Carlos Correa. And that is it for my free agent predictions. Again, I couldn't go over every single free agent, otherwise I'd be here for hours. But I just predicted the top 25. What do you think of my predictions? Let me know down in the comments below what you think of my free agent predictions. And where do you think all these guys are going to go? Leave it down in the comments below where you think everyone's going to go. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for more content to come in the future. And until that next video, once again, my name is the California Cougar. And always remember to stay California cool. Peace!